Anime and cartoons are vastly different from each other. I felt like growing up that a lot of cartoons were very kid friendly, which is kind of ironic because I was a kid too. But the thing was, I felt like they wasn't really taking me seriously. They felt like I wasn't capable of understanding things. I wasn't capable of learning certain things. You know, I felt disrespected by a lot of cartoons. And honestly, and I feel like a lot of you will agree with me, a lot of cartoons felt like that they were just kind of brain rot, that they were just there for you to watch onto TV, for you to just be preoccupied. A lot of people say that brain rot started with TikTok and stuff like that. I feel like brain rot has been around for decades on television, and it's just, the only thing is that it's just shifted towards the internet. I was initially drawn to anime because I felt like it actually did take me seriously, that it wasn't afraid to show me certain things. When it came to Dragon Ball, the first thing I saw was Goku's friends all dying to the Saiyans. You know, it was pretty shocking, but it was also very real. It made me feel emotions that I haven't felt before. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I grew up in pretty rough inner city neighborhoods. I've lost family members due to gun violence and all types of stuff. So yeah, there was a lot of things that I was going through in real life that cartoons just didn't really talk about. It was more like an escape for me. I kind of used it to kind of like let my mind go to other places. But the thing was, I could never relate to the other characters, and it felt like they wasn't really going through real problems. Like, it felt like they wasn't going through the same problems that I was going through, you know. And that's what made me become drawn to anime. Now, I did mention Dragon Ball, but I feel like that's not really a good example of what I'm talking about. I honestly felt like Naruto did a really good job at handling the subject of death and loss. I feel like no arc does this better than the arc where the third Hokage fights Orochimaru, and Orochimaru, I forgot which jutsu it was, but he basically ends the life of the third Hokage. It was a great cost. Like, he was basically deteriorating for the rest of the series because of that fight, but it was a massive loss to Konoha Village. And this scene, like when everybody was just mourning the third Hokage, everybody was in their funeral attire and stuff like that, wearing all black. It was immensely sad, even for me, because it really felt like a real funeral. It felt like a real funeral that I went to, you know, when I've had family members die on me before. I recently had a family member that passed away recently, and this scene really spoke to me. I feel like it spoke to a lot of you as well. And I know I've been shitting on Naruto a lot on my YouTube channel, but if I were to gather a list of things that I loved about Naruto, this will be near the top of that list. I feel like they handle treating the elderly with respect. I feel like they do that thing really well when it comes to respecting the elderly and stuff like that. And I also feel like when it comes to the subject of death, passing the torch to the next generation, and just having a good coming of age story with Naruto and the rest of his friends, I feel like Kishimoto written those things immensely well. And I feel like that's why worldwide Naruto was successful, because worldwide everybody could relate to some parts of Naruto. Now, I feel like if we're talking about cartoons, there's only one cartoon that comes to mind that kind of handles this perfectly, and I think I would probably go with The Lion King being a very good example of handling loss for a family member. Like, I think it was it's one of the first Disney movies I've ever seen, and I think it's one of the only Disney movies where it doesn't play around when it comes to the death of a family member. When it comes to Mufasa's passing, it showed the body, it showed everything. It was in your face. The moment sits with you, and you really feel that loss. You see Simba process that moment, and you also see in the next film, Lion King 2, he has PTSD from that moment of seeing his father get trampled. You know, it was a brutal scene. And I feel like that spoke to a lot of people as well. When I first initially saw it, I was about maybe like 3 years old, and it was I didn't really understand what was happening, but basically I'm like, oh, I guess he's asleep forever. He's not gonna wake up. That really, it got me tearing up along with Simba, honestly. But I understood it. And I feel like media can't, or rather they shouldn't shy away from subjects like this. They shouldn't disrespect their audience, even children audiences, by trying to dumb down things, trying to make things more simple, trying to, I won't say making things more simple, just like dumbing things down, assuming that they wouldn't understand. Children are smarter than we think. People are smarter than we think, honestly. I believe people are smarter than, there are a lot of dumb people, but I feel like there are a lot of smart people as well. What's another anime that I feel like that does as well? I think there's only one other anime that comes to mind, and I feel like that's JoJo Bizarre Adventure. Now, as bizarre as JoJo is, as wacky as it is, as crazy as it is, I feel like when it comes to the subject of death and how it handles character deaths in the series, I feel like it does it very maturely, very Araki is very thoughtful with how he pretty much ends his character arcs in his story. JoJo deaths, they're surprising, they're unfair, you know. I feel like that's what makes it realistic, because in real life it comes out of nowhere. It fucking sneaks up on you, bro. Like, and you could anticipate it, you can plan around it all you want, but it's gonna come whenever it wants. Death comes whenever it wants, you know. And I feel like JoJo's, it's about adapting to unusual and unfortunate circumstances. In every episode, they're pretty much in a very confusing, a very weird situation. They got to get out of that situation, whether it be like a stand, a weird phenomenon that's going on. They had to adapt to it, and they also had to adapt to the losses that they gained through the story. During that last arc of JoJo Part 3, bro, like more than half of that team got wiped out by Dio, but they had to adapt through that fight all the way through. Jotaro had to pretty much adapt through that whole arc and change up his game plan, because going to that fight with Dio, they wasn't really sure what his power was. They were trying to figure it out. That was part of the battle, just adapting to Dio and adapting to the weird situations he was putting them through. Like that scene where he kept putting Polnareff down the stairs, like, dude, what the, like, Dio was such a maniac. Yeah, man, just witnessing these moments in anime, being emotionally invested into these stories, being emotionally invested into these characters, it really taught me a lot of things and how to handle situations like this in my real life. I'm not fighting ninjas, I'm not fighting stand users, but I have to deal with the loss of family members, I have to deal with the loss of friends, just like these guys do. And I can resonate with that a lot, and I feel like you guys can too. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. This is kind of I kind of wanted to make this video because I experienced man, it was a very rough 2 weeks for me. That explains what the gap between my last upload, so I was kind of going through it a little bit. But yeah, let me know if you guys went through like anything similar as to what I'm talking about in this video. Have you ever experienced like a big loss before, and do you feel like you kind of learned something from these shows, from media, on how to deal with that, you know? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.